Okay, this is a screencast on social class and crime. First of all, different types of crime. We've got blue-collar crime, so this is working class crime. Predominantly, this is theft, petty, low-level kind of crimes. And this is often in the public view, and this is what Marxists argue is easier to spot, hence why we have higher rates of crime in working class people. Second type of crime is white-collar crime, and this is crimes committed, it could be by companies or could be by individuals within companies, and this is higher level crime such as fraud or health and safety types of crime. This is often hidden because it's harder to see this kind of thing. It's not actually happening on the street. These are often also dealt with by agencies rather than criminally, so the health and safety executive will look into health and safety acts and any kind of trading standards issues, rather than the police actually getting involved and looking at this. An example of this would be Gerald Ransom, who basically lied about profit during a Guinness flotation, Guinness drink, in terms of shares, so that his basically shares skyrocketed because profits were lied about. He was found to be guilty of this. Best thing about Gerald Ransom is that years later he managed to get a CBE off the Queen. Isn't that nice? Okay, some explanations then. So Marxists believe that it's deprivation and alienation through capitalism, so alienation of working class people because no one really cares about them. The police don't care about them, the politicians don't care about them, they feel individual and marginalised in society. And this is one of the reasons why they commit crime. Also, it's deprivation. Working class have less money in a society which demands that you have more money to survive, so you have to turn to crime. Gordon believes that it's a dog-eat-dog world, and this leads to greed, and this can be used to explain both lower-level working-class crimes, but also middle-class white-collar crimes. We can use Merton's strain theory in terms of the goals and means, so the goals of society, illegitimate ways of achieving these because we don't have the means through education or work to achieve these. Current status frustration, obviously, it's less about deprivation, it's more about culture. So because maybe we are seen negatively because we were working class or we live in bad areas, etc. It's not necessarily about being deprived, it's about the lack of opportunity because of who we are in terms of working class. Finally, Lee and Young talk about relative deprivation and marginalisation, so the idea that we see ourselves against others, and because of this we will go on to commit crime to ensure that we are keeping up with the Joneses. So more contemporary sociological explanations, so recent ones, is that Glover in 2010 believed that it was inequality, poverty and exclusion, and these were the key three things: exclusion from society, poverty within society, and also inequality towards working class. And this is all about material deprivation and the fact that we don't have, and because we don't have, we can't be included within society. And this helps us explain utilitarian crime. The Equality Trust in 2011 looked into the ideas between inequality and serious violent crime, which helps us understand why maybe non-utilitarian crime happens there. They found that there was a big link between inequalities in society based on your class and the frustration that you have, and this leads to serious violent crime. Even the idea that because you don't have a lot of money and you've got that stress and strain of living day to day, hand to mouth, and this leads to more serious violent crimes both in the home and also out on the streets. There's some cultural explanations to this rather than just deprivation, and Marxists suggest that there's a direct link between the area that you live in and the crimes that you commit. So there are certain areas that you will commit more crimes than others. Miller believes that this is an idea of survival, and this is socialised through generations, that working class people have to be tough, they have to be street smart to survive, and it's these focal concerns being the idea of what that kind of subculture, what is central to that subculture, and how this leads. So you could link this in with ethnicity as well, that what is the focal central concern of ethnic subcultures or females, for instance, so about being caring, but being streetwise, being hard, being tough, excitement, etc. And this leads to police attention because toughness acting streetwise. These are the things that police see most often, and they can easily spot and identify. So this maybe is, according to Miller, is one of the reasons why there's such high working class crime, because police are aware of these kind of things. Murray believes that there's a dependency culture, non-surprising. Charles Murray, the socialization creates these cultural differences. So working class people tend to come, are more likely to come from single parent families, broken homes, and it's this lack of a role model, lack of respect for authority, lack of respect for hard work, lack of discipline, which leads working class people to commit a crime. There's this idea of criminalisation of the working class, that actually working class don't commit more crime, it's just that they are perceived as more criminal by authorities such as the police, such as the criminal justice system. And this could be down to the fact that we live in society by the set middle class norms and values, and because we can't meet these, then that is one of the reasons why we are targeted by the criminal justice system. Chambliss carried out a study which looked at the saints and roughnecks. Now the saints were getting away with bad things, drinking on streets, low-level crimes, but because their parents were middle-class parents, they were posh, they were well-known, they got away with it, where the roughnecks were more working class, and these were very much targeted more by the police. This helps us understand that the labelling and stereotyping is based on class bias. And Newburn and Rayner, and also Kroll, believes that the police decision making is key, that all classes commit crimes, it's just that the working class are more visible, and these are the crimes of the poor. And police go to areas where there's the usual suspects. So if there's a crime happens in a warehouse, they're not going to start looking in like in offices and warehouses. They're going to start looking on the streets, working class areas, and this is the idea of the usual suspects. This also helps us understand, I suppose, why more working class people are convicted, because they are higher risk of reoffending according to the criminal justice system, so they're more likely to be prosecuted and sentenced. And also, what Kroll found was that parental status and the area that you lived in has a high impact on whether or not you are prosecuted. So even if you're arrested, they'll look at your parental status and the background. This links in with Chambliss and the idea of saints, and you're more likely to be prosecuted and sent to prison if you come from a broken home and also a deprived area. So this suggests that the stereotyping and elitism within the criminal justice system. In terms of higher class crime, the question is, are higher classes actually committing less crime? Well, it's hard to know really. Statistics show that they are committing less crime, but maybe it's because it's harder to detect because of the type of crime. So it might be cybercrime, or it might be fraud, which is really difficult to look for. It's under-policed as well. Resources for policing are spent not on finding white-collar crime, even though it's a worse type of crime. You know, billions and billions of pounds worth of fraud. However, against maybe some low-level street crime where you've robbed someone for £100. Police spend more time looking at those types of crimes, and this is one of the issues that Marxists have, you see. Toombs and White believes that there's enormous economical, political and social powers at work, and that the more economical, political and social power you have, the more likely you are to get away with a crime. And even if you're caught, then you're more likely to get away with a caution rather than actually going to prison. There are obviously exceptions to this, higher level ones, you know, ones that we see in the media, because they want to make the public, moral entrepreneurs want to make the public believe that actually they are doing something about these crimes. But in terms of how many are committed, it's, you know, it's kind of a drop in the ocean really. As mentioned before, when we call enforcement agencies rather than police prosecute, such as health and safety and trading standards and things like that. So hopefully that's explained a little bit about why there's differences in working class and higher class crime. Okay, cheers.